Okay, and we are live, hopefully. See, Grumpy's always on time. Grumpy's always on time. None of this hanging about and making you wait, people. I'm always here. Apart from the vegan mooncat, can anybody just give me a sign that you can hear me? So I'm not talking to myself, which is not good on a live stream. So when someone gives me yes, we can hear you loud and clear, I will proceed. Hope everyone's good on this crazy bonfire weekend where we all like to light bombs and you can Corvin Moon, hi, I can hear it. Brilliant. So okay, we can hear. We can hear. Let's have a look who's in the house before we start. So Level Joy was first. You win £1,000,000. Well done. Michael Askew, hello there, sir. Vegan Poet. Hello, Vegan Poet. Vegan Mooncat. Hello, Vegan Mooncat. Vegan Mooncat's streaming at 7:30, I think, this evening. So if we've wrapped up by then, please jump over to Mooncat's stream and take a look at what he's talking about. Vegan Pixie Warriors back from isolation in the shed. She went to live in a shed for a holiday. What a weirdo. Vegan King, Your Majesty, Your Excellency, how are you? You haven't been on my stream for a long time. Yes, Corvid Moon, hello there, Salad. What happened to your face? I shaved it. I shaved it. So guys, I've got a really interesting chat coming up. I really have got an interesting, because this is the front line of vegan activism. This is the front line. This is the most you can give for the animals. What this guy has done. So I want you to give him a warm welcome, and I want you to fire those questions in there. I will start looking at the questions after we've chatted for 30 minutes or so. But he's got a really interesting story to tell you all, and we're gonna delve deep into it. And his name is Joseph Budenberg. He's in Texas. So that gives you a little idea of the background. You know, it's steer country, it's cowboy country, it's big barbecue meat eating country. So yeah, let's find out about this guy. So I'm going to bring him on board now. So welcome to Joseph. Hello there, mate. How are you? Do you want to introduce yourself to the folks?
Hey, man. Thanks for having me.
No
Yeah, so
problem.
I'm Joseph. I'm from Texas. I live in Texas right now. I've been vegan about 19 years.
Woo!
Been an activist for about 15 of those years. So, yeah, it's been a long time.
Wow, man, and you don't look old enough. You only, mind you, everybody looks young to me. You know what I mean? But don't look like you've lived that life, mate. You're looking really well. So vegan
Appreciate
for
that.
19 years, man. Jesus, that is some going, and you haven't lost loads of weight. You're not like 7 stone when you
Oh
wet.
no,
Or
no, I've never had that problem.
yeah, that's weird. Everyone seems to think that we've got a problem with protein for some reason. So let's get into it, Joe. Sorry, I didn't mean to call you Joe. Joseph.
All right.
Joseph. I've got to remember, we do shorten names in the north of England. It's something we always do by accident. You'll be Jay by the time I've finished. Um, so 19 years ago, so you would have been, what, in your teens?
I was 18 years old. Yeah.
18 years old. So tell me about growing up. I mean, were you born in Texas, or where was you actually born?
I grew up in Virginia. So, growing up, my dad would take me fishing a lot, and it never sat right with me. It always felt like I was, murdering the animals, which I was.
Really? Uh, what age was that you sort of
I,
got those feelings?
maybe preteens, 10 to 12.
Wow.
Um, I thought about it a lot, but I didn't know that there was a concept like veganism. I didn't know that there were activists out there. Um, Through like punk and hardcore music scenes, I found bands that preached like an animal rights message in my teens, and that was really eye opening for me. I went vegetarian at first, when I was still living with my parents when I was 15 years old, um, and then from there, like trying to transition to veganism, but still not really knowing what I was doing. Um, So it wasn't until I moved out that I could actually like, you know, do the whole vegan thing.
Yeah, someone's just mentioned that there is an echo happening. Can anybody else hear the echo? Because Joseph has got some earphones. If that's the case, can somebody just let me know if there is it annoying? Because we don't want to do this. Yeah, throw them on, Joseph. It can't do any harm.
Okay.
In the meantime, what I will do is I will put up on the screen Joseph's Instagram. So people, please, after the stream, go across and follow Joseph. Moongat says he can't hear an echo. All right. But I'm going to share the screen, just show you. Right. Okay. So this is Joseph's Instagram page. It is his full name, Joseph Buddenberg. Please go across and follow. Take a look. Some really interesting pictures on there. Some wild pictures on there, actually. Wow, there's a little clue of what's coming up. There's some little clues on there. So yeah, really interesting Instagram page. Please go over, give him some support, get his subscriber, follow account up, please, if you will. That'd be great. Thank you. So yeah, so you're listening to bands, you didn't know about veganism, you were feeling like weird about fishing, about killing animals, and how did your parents take you going vegetarian?
Is the sound okay now?
Yeah, the sound's fine, mate. I can't hear it. It's people who are listening who are saying that there may be an echo. But it sounds fine to me. So we'll just soldier on, mate. Don't worry.
Okay. Could you repeat the question?
Yeah. So you got into your early teens and you were vegetarian.
Yeah.
And from a very young age, you realised that killing animals didn't sit right with you, which is something that never happened to me. I went fishing and I didn't see anything. It never sort of got to me. But how did your parents take it? Were your parents supportive, or did they have no choice? Or, I mean, what kind of kid was you?
My mom was very supportive. She would do everything she could to kind of like, support the diet and, find me different vegan items. She would pick stuff up. She knew that it was motivated from a place of compassion, and she didn't have a problem with it. My dad, being the hunting fishing type, I think it was a little strange to him. I still don't think he's really adjusted to it, and those are difficult conversations to have with family members. I've had a tough time.
I bet you have. I mean, a lot of people know this, but I live in a full household of non-vegans. I'm the only vegan in the household. I've got two lads here, my missus, I've got my granddaughter, my mum, my brothers, everybody in my family. Nobody's vegan. I'm the only vegan, and it's
Wow.
like it's just different pans. I've got to share fridges, and yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy. So I sympathise with you. So, when did you get the vegan message? When did you switch over to that sort of vegan philosophy? What
I
struck
think
the nerve there?
I fully I wanted to do it for a while and just didn't. I was still living at home. I couldn't really support myself, so it was a little difficult. So I went vegetarian at like 15, and it took me a few years to transition to veganism. Full vegan at like 18. Yeah.
You've got a new follower, Vegan Linkat, has followed you on your Instagram.
Great.
I've not eaten meat in nearly 19 years. Still get my mum saying personal choice, so I get that feeling. Yeah, it is. But mums always like to see the lads fed, so I think there might have been a little bit of that motherly love going on as well there, Joseph. She
Exactly.
didn't want to see you starve to death. So
Exactly.
he's not going to do it. So yeah. So you've gone vegan, you're 18 years old, you've gone vegan. What about your friends? I mean, how did that sit with your friends? I mean, there's a lot of vegan men get a lot of stick. As you probably know, we get a lot of stick. People think we're effeminate because we're compassionate, and a lot of friends desert you. How did your sort of peers work around you on this?
I would definitely get some of that attitude, but never for my friends. My friends were sort of more open-minded. especially coming out of that like hardcore punk tradition. Um, Animal rights was always something that was talked about and appreciated. So, you know, I don't know if most of my friends went vegan. I don't think they did, or they didn't stay vegan at least. But they at least showed me respect. So
Yeah, because I get that because it was very similar in the UK. A lot of the later punks, the new wave punks in the UK were big on animal rights. I know there's
oh,
a few of my
absolutely.
friends. Yeah, he's a drummer. He's got a big mohawk, and he's always been into animal rights. He's called me out a few times in my life. I've never listened to him. I wish I had listened to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, So it's that's good. That's cool. So I'm assuming then that the activism side of things sort of filtered in from those surroundings of animal rights and
Yeah.
what's tell us a story about
Um,
that.
yeah. So when you exist in that hardcore punk scene, there's always a lot of talk of direct action, and people inform you of what the Animal Liberation Front is. So I think as soon as I became vegan and sort of understood that I'm going to become an activist for life, I knew that I wanted to do something more direct with it. I wanted to do something more, strategic and effective with it than just exist as a vegan. So it wasn't until I moved out to like California that I really started like organizing protests and getting involved in a lot of activism. And that was
So
around like 2006, 2007.
2006, 2007. So you would have been what, mid 20s,
Early 20s, yeah, 22,
early.
23, yeah.
And what sort of activism were you sort of organising? What actions were you actually
Uh,
doing?
at the time, there were a lot of campaigns going on against the University of California for vivisection. Um, University of California has, hundreds of thousands of animals in their facilities. Um, Primates, they test on cats. Um, any animal you could think of, they torture and kill in their laboratories. So we started organizing a lot of protests against the University of California in Berkeley, in San Francisco. It's in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, for those who don't know. Um, and we did home demonstrations outside of the vivisectors' houses. We would picket in front of their houses, chalk the sidewalk, put up flyers in their neighborhoods, talk to their neighbors, and they really did not like that. They did not like that at all.
No.
Um, I mean, when you identify that people are out there causing so much harm to animals, you want to hold them accountable, right? So
Yeah.
I figured the best way to hold them accountable was to protest in their neighborhoods and inform the community of what they're doing. Um, yeah, so that was a campaign that we did for about a year.
So how did you find their addresses? Surely they were very careful about who got. I mean, if you can't tell me how, but I mean, how did you get their addresses? It's like,
Oh, I mean, it was mostly through just public information, white pages kind of thing. Yeah, it was all pretty public. It was pretty easy to find their addresses.
yeah. I mean, and the worst thing is about it. I mean, we at the moment are demonstrating for the BR Beagles, which is an American company operating in
Okay,
the UK, and
okay,
they've got a puppy farm breeding puppies in Huntingdon. It's been going on a long while. It's been the centre of animal liberation activists for a long time, but now it's been brought up again because they're actually breeding. I think it's 2,000 puppies every so long, and they've been distributed all over the country for tests with detergents and for all sorts agricultural sprays and everything. And they're even being trained to have cups on the noses so that they can be given gases and stuff like that. And we're fighting that at the moment, but that is like it's a big operation, and every time the vans come in to distribute the puppies, there's masses of police. The rapists and the murderers are all out there going raping and murdering
yeah,
when it's puppy moving day, because they know all the police are with there protecting this big American company that is causing this suffering in the UK. And what's worse about this industry is that it's not necessary. It's totally about money.
Absolutely.
Universities get money, the government gets
Absolutely.
money, everybody gets a cut of money, and it's not even necessary, and it's absolutely ridiculous. It's the core of everything that veganism is, I think, on this side of things. Wow. Yeah, it is crazy, mate. It is crazy. You'll have to take a look at that MBR.
Yeah, I've been trying to follow that campaign. I can't find too much news on it, but it seems really active. Seems like it's bringing a lot of people out for demonstrations, and
I think they've
um,
got an Instagram page. I'll just see if I can find it for
okay,
people out there to take a look at as well.
yeah, please plug that.
Yeah, it's Free the BR Beagles. It's one of them. I think there's a few. So if I just share the screen, um, this is the page, people. Free the BR Beagles. Yeah, it's a big place. That's LabCorp in York, I think. Oh, Harrogate, yeah. That's where they go. Yeah, there's been a permanent camp there for the last few months. I've actually been down there myself,
Wow.
and done a little story down there. But it's really sort of heavily guarded. There's cameras everywhere. There's even they've even put listening cameras up on the outside so they can listen to people what they're talking about outside. It's
Yeah.
crazy, and they've tried getting us getting court injunctions. I think they've got about 16 injunctions to try and get the camp to move because it's bad publicity. But they won't move. They can't move them. We've got riots in the UK, and it's very similar in the US. I
Yeah.
think it's only Canada where they're having certain provinces in Canada where they're having problems with the law being on the side of the animal agricultural industry. So yeah, the ag-gag laws. So yeah, wow. So yeah, very similar sort of industry going on in both our countries here.
Oh, absolutely.
So you started these little, I'll say little, but they were quite big. They were quite brash. Did you get into trouble with these actions in California?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So that campaign, where we were doing the home demonstrations outside of the vivisectors' houses, ended up being arrested by the FBI for that, and spent a lot of time on house arrest. Waded through the court system. That case was the first arrest under the Animal Enterprise Terrorism Act. It's a law we have in the United States that
Oh, right.
criminalizes sorts of animal activism, anything that affects the business, anything that causes damage, economic damage. You can be indicted under the Animal Enterprise Terrorism Act.
Wow. So that covers animal agriculture. It covers everything, really.
Oh yeah, I mean, you look at the sponsors of the law. It was passed under the Bush administration in 2006, and the sponsors of the law are like the whole gamut of animal abusing industries. Beef, vivisection, Fur Commission USA lobbied for it. So, this is a law they wanted passed, and they lobbied for it. They spent thousands and thousands of dollars lobbying for it, and they got it passed. And it criminalizes all manner of animal rights activism. It's a really bad law.
Someone's just said animal terrorism. What the fuck? Yeah, I mean, how can you describe it as animal terrorism? It's just such an oxymoron. It's the complete opposite. It's what they're doing is terrorism. Not
Absolutely. I
on.
mean,
Wow.
the general public doesn't know that this law exists. They don't understand that that Congress passed this at the behest of these industries. When I tell people that I was arrested for terrorism or that I was convicted of terrorism, they laugh. They think it's absurd. So
Yeah, we're going to get into that in a minute, actually. So yeah,
yeah,
trapped in the matrix says line the right pockets about. Well, yeah, of course they do. They're the
exactly.
richest people, and they're looking after their own concerns. It's like the pharmaceutical industry with the testing. Pharmaceutical are multi-billion-pound industries. They can throw money left, right, and centre to get these bills put into place. It's ridiculous. It's like the only way we're going to do it is just to get our percentages up and start lobbying the governments of each country. Words mean something. By calling it terrorism, it associates those with ISIS. Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah,
like we're
it's a
talking
really
about
good point.
immigrants. Yeah, it's like talking about immigrants, about swarms of immigrants. So it makes everyone think of the immigrants as insects swarming over. like ants. You know, it's like, yeah, the language is very, yeah, very sort of.
It's purposeful. Yeah.
It does do its job, and puts like in the same realm as these terrorists, and it's nothing completely. So yeah, so you're being followed by the FBI now. You're mid-20s. You're being followed by the FBI. You've started your life of animal activism, not terrorism, activism. What was the next stage then? Where did you move to from those? Because obviously you got an injunction, so you couldn't do those anymore.
Well, yeah. So that case, I was arrested in 2009. Ended up getting dismissed. We put together a really good team of civil rights attorneys. The movement sort of had our back, and that case ended up getting dismissed on First Amendment grounds in 2010. From there, I kind of like did some vegan outreach and sort of, tried to find my place in the activist world again. Took a short break, maybe. And then in 2013 is when I began visiting fur farms.
And fur farms are quite. There's a lot going on in the US, isn't there, regarding fur?
A lot of them have been closing in the past year or two because of, just the economic downturns. Pelt prices are at an all-time low. COVID-19 really affected mink farms. A lot of them have been closing. But at the time, in 2013, there were about 275 farms in the U.S., or about 275 farms. They're in the Midwest. They're, Utah, Minnesota, those kinds of states.
So I'm not aware of, but Utah, Missouri, I'm assuming that these are like big open countries. It's not very tightly populated. Is that right? Or what's the
Right. The fur farms tend to be in rural communities,
right?
It was always weird going onto these fur farms, and, I always had the intention of liberating animals, but you would walk onto these fur farms and it was essentially like a backyard operation. It was so normalized. You had these places without even a fence, and you would walk onto them and they were just totally atrocious and disgusting. But that mentality of speciesism was so pervasive there that someone could operate a facility like this,
And without caring
disgusting.
The world.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose when you live in, we live in this non-vegan world, and when you're doing something, they're not high value animals as they are. If someone took one of these animals and they wouldn't make a lot of money off it, but
right.
So there's no reason to sort of guard it. What I'm trying to get at is there's no reason to guard it and as far as they were concerned, they're not doing anything wrong. Like you said, they assume that they've got the backing of the population of the country. So so they wouldn't worry about anything at all, would they really? And we're talking about minks, aren't we? So minks are they're like ferrets. They're very small creatures. People assume
right.
that they haven't got any personality. They're not really that sentient, and they're a bit rat-like. So people have this idea that they're nothing. And yeah, I can imagine that, Joseph, that people didn't really care about the conditions or guarding them or keeping people away from them. So what happens then? So you're wandering around and going checking out these fur farms.
Yeah, I think originally I just kind of wanted to see what these places look like, kind of document the conditions, and what I saw just was so atrocious. It really broke my heart. On a fur farm, you just have sheds filled with animals. And these are wild creatures held 4 to a tiny little cage in some fur farms. So I don't think I could leave without liberating as many as possible. And that's when I just started telling myself I'm going to keep raiding these farms and I'm going to liberate as many animals as possible until this industry no longer exists.
So you were alone in this. You went out, you walked into these places. Did you just open the cages and let them go, or how did it work?
I had a co-defendant, Nicole Cassane. She got convicted with me. No, I mean, yeah, you walk on the farm, and like I said, it's rare to see a fence. Um, they're open-ended sheds, and I would just walk on and open as many cages as possible.
I'm just trying to find your. Um, there we go. Yeah. I'm going to share this. This is your. I think this is some news on your actual story.
Okay.
And it's. Oh, it's like your. Yeah.
Oh, that's the Department of Justice FBI press release. Yeah.
Ah, right. So in San Diego, animal rights activist Nicole Cassane was sentenced to federal court to 20. Or she got 21 months.
Right.
For terrorizing the fur industry during cross-country road trips. Oh my God! Terrorized by opening cages.
Right.
And her co-conspirator, the language they use. Her co-conspirator, Joseph Buddenberg, caused hundreds of thousands of dollars in damage by vandalizing properties and releasing mink from commercial farms. Fucking, I'm gonna get that printed. I'm gonna put that on my wall. It's just, wow. Yeah, I mean, wow. It's that is pretty scary opening them cages. So, did you sort of let me just get this straight? How you did this? So, did you go and check them out first? You knew where they all were first, and then did you?
Honestly, we didn't do too much reconnaissance. We would show up, scope out the area, generally park in like a cornfield. A lot of places to hide in those little rural counties. And as soon as we walked on the farm, we knew what our mission was, to liberate as many animals as possible. So proceeded to do that. Yeah, the mink are so wild. As soon as you open the cage, they make a dash for it. They're out of there. They're gone.
Yeah. And so you do one in an evening, or would you go do one and then go and do another one and just keep going until dawn, or would you like just do one per night, or how did it work for you?
Generally do one a night. I mean, you spend an hour or two on these farms opening cages, and it's a really intense experience. I mean, looking into the eyes of these animals that are slated to be killed for a fucking fur coat. It's a really intense emotional experience. And pretty nerve-wracking, pretty scary at times. So we open the cage, we finish, and I think when we left, it hits us that there's millions more of these animals confined on similar fur farms across the country. So we didn't want to abandon the animals. I didn't want to abandon the animals, so I
that's it, and it's like
kept going.
Once you've started it, it's like, well, I've rescued these. How can I leave the others? And it's such a. So obviously, then word was starting to spread that some psychopathic, compassionate people are going around like freeing animals from like slavery and torture. So how long did it take for it to hit the news headlines? Did you see it on the news before you? What happened next? How did that go?
Oh yeah, generally when there's a mink release, when there's a mink liberation, it hits the press pretty much immediately the next day. And
Really?
Fur Commission USA, which is that industry front group I alluded to earlier, who lobbied for the passage of the Animal Enterprise Terrorism Act, Fur Commission USA will generally, have their sort of talking points ready, and they'll sort of court the press with all kinds of propaganda and lies about the fur industry and what the fur industry is. Yeah, so it hits the press pretty soon after, and that's a good feeling. I mean, that's like, the general public is against what these farms are doing, and so you want people to hear about it. You want people to know that this is happening and that it's possible to save these animals.
Sally H says, "Well done, Jules. If that is brave work, yeah, I do agree. It is. It is great."
Thank you. Thank you.
Vegan Poet. I think Vegan Poet is in Canada. You leave them all. Leave them. All of them got released. You know, it's like, yeah. You can't just stop there. So there's going to be people sniffing around after you now. There's going to be some feds and some police looking for your ass now. So.
Oh yeah, I think.
What's the time scale on this now? Give us give an idea of the time scale.
So mink are pelted out. All animals on fur farms are killed around November, December. That's when, fur farms gas and kill their animals. So you have a sort of timeline from the summer to the early fall to liberate these animals. We kept going from July to November 2013, liberating animals. And as soon as we were back in California, I think I was already on the Fed's radar because of my previous cases and my previous run-ins with law enforcement. There were a couple police stops in these rural places when we were scoping out farms. And I think the FBI just started to connect the dots. So, after our campaign was over, after we had liberated about 6,000 animals, we got back to California.
6,000?
We 6,000 animals, yeah.
Wow.
And after we got back to California, the FBI had sort of connected the dots, considered me the suspect, and they essentially lied to a federal judge, because they wanted to get what's called a sneak and peek warrant, which is a delayed notification warrant in the United States. And to get one of those, you have to show exigent circumstance. You got to show that it's an emergency. And what they did is they said, well, we can't say that releasing mink is an emergency to get this sneak and peek warrant. So they sort of picked a crime in a similar county that was like a theft of guns that obviously we had nothing to do with. But they said, well, these activists are going out releasing mink and we think they've stolen these guns. We need a sneak and peek warrant to get into their car. So as soon as I got back to Oakland, they had their sneak and peek warrant. They broke in, and that's when they found, the bolt cutters, the wire cutters, all the things you would use to get onto these farms and release animals.
That is wrong. Surely they can't. Surely it messes up the conviction if they're doing things illegal. I mean, here in the UK, if the police did... Oh, man, it's just so annoying that they get away with this shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Trapped in the Matrix says, despite what we are raised to believe, Joseph is clearly a real man. Of course he is. Of course he is. All activists. Yes. Absolutely. You were amazing, Joseph.
Thank you.
Okay, as scary as it would be to be tracked by the FBI, that is some serious street cred. You're the man. JJ says, it's amazing what you've done, Joseph. Yeah. Well, the story doesn't end there, folks. The story goes on. So the police are being corrupt. They're using sneak and peek laws. I've never heard of that before. We have used entrapment laws in the UK where we put a wallet with a load of money in on a car seat and the police sit there and wait for someone to break in and steal the money. It's like... Wow. Yeah, they do shit like that over in the UK, but I don't think that's legal anymore. So they're on your case. They found your bolt cutters. So bang, they've got you. Is that it? Game over?
Well, I mean that sort of began the investigation for them. I had a lawyer later who told me that she's had gang murders and just the most violent, crazy cases you could think of in the legal system. She said she's never seen an investigatory case like mine as far as the spending of money and the sorts of links the FBI went to sort of pursue me. I mean, that's when the investigation began. And about 2 years later, I don't know why it takes them 2 years, but, maybe budgetary concerns and things like this. But 2 years later, I end up getting arrested again on animal enterprise terrorism for all the liberations that we did.
So they had proof. They got the proof then.
Again, it was all circumstantial evidence. Yeah. In the United States, we have a law called conspiracy. So I was indicted for conspiracy to violate the Animal Enterprise Terrorism Act. All they have to show to get a conspiracy conviction is an agreement between two people to break a law. I don't know I think you have similar laws in the UK where it's, two or more people conspiring.
Yeah, I've forgotten what it's called, but if a group of, like, say, 5 lads go out and they know that this one lad is going to murder with this knife, all 5 people get done with the same crime, murder.
Right.
So I
So
think
so
that's very similar. Yeah,
so yeah, conspiracy is just a much lower threshold for prosecutors. They don't have to actually. I don't think they could really prove that we were at the farms, that we were at any specific farm. Um, but again, they just had to show like, okay, these people have all this for industry literature. They have bolt cutters, wire cutters. This is enough to get a conspiracy conviction. Um, so I was indicted on that, and my lawyers advised me to plead guilty because in the U.S. also, if you take it to trial and lose, you end up getting more time. They sort of
yeah,
punish you for exercising your rights. So
yeah. It's the same here, mate. Yeah, you're always. I was advised to plead guilty, otherwise it would have been prison for me for something unrelated, completely unrelated, not animal rights. But yeah, unless you can afford a really good solicitor, you're pretty much screwed.
exactly.
In the thing here. Bobby Terrace said, Animal Enterprise Terrorism Act. The USA has her priorities completely wrong in so many topics. Keep up the good work, Joseph.
Thank you.
So off you toddled to jail then, kid. You're off to, which jail did you go to?
Oh, yeah. So 2015, I'm arrested on those charges. Plead guilty in early 2016. Get sentenced to 24 months in prison. And I served that in the federal system in the United States. We have a bunch of federal prisons around the country, so I'm sort of ferreted.
What's the difference?
Generally, like murder, robbery, those kinds of crimes would just be prosecuted by the state of Texas, state of California. So anyone that's arrested by like the FBI, that's a federal crime. That's you're going to federal prison.
Wow. And you were classed as a terrorist in prison.
Oh yeah, and I mean. Just like the general public, when I would tell guys I'm in prison for terrorism, they say, "What the fuck did you do?" I say, "I liberated animals from these fur farms." They just start laughing. They thought it was so absurd. Like nobody.
It is though, isn't it? I'm trying not to laugh, but it's like,
yeah.
This man, people, right? This man here spent 2 years in federal prison as a terrorist for doing basically that. Opening a cage. It's mind blowing. It's just absolutely mind blowing, Joseph. It's so ludicrous that it is funny. It is funny. Oh wow, mate. So obviously your first time in prison, because the previous were house arrests. How did you feel? Seriously though, I mean your mental health. How did that go down with you?
Oh, it was tough. I mean, the isolation is hard. Having a political case, the staff and the sorts of prison bureaucrats, they go a little harder on you because they don't know, they just see the word terrorism and they think like, who is this guy? What is he planning to do? So, they make it a little tough for you to get visits. They make it a little tough for you to get your mail. I would get they would have to scan my mail and then give it to me. So I would get my mail in huge batches, like every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks. And that was a little tough. That was the hardest thing to deal with, I think, about prison was the...
Did you get vegan food in there?
I did, yeah. It's tough and it requires a little bit of ingenuity, but, you can have people call in and pressure the prison, and you can have, you can go on hunger strike, which I had to do a few times. And then in the prison commissary, which is like the prison store, they sell a few staple vegan items, oatmeal, peanut butter, things like that. So it's possible. I don't know if it's the healthiest diet in prison, but it's definitely something I needed.
Yeah.
You have to do it. I mean, yeah.
Wow. Hello, Leon. Welcome. You're late. What's happening? Yeah, some people are astounded at 2 years. So you don't get time off for good behaviour then? It's not like the UK, because if I got 2 years in the UK, I will be out in approximately 13-14 months if I behave myself.
You get a little time off in the state system. I think you do 50%, but in the federal system it's like 85%. So of that 24 months with good time, I did like 21 months. So
when you do shit, you do it good style, you Joseph, don't you?
What's that?
You do it good style. When you do something, you do it properly. You go right in there and do it all. You do the
Absolutely.
You do it the hard way. The hard
Absolutely.
way or the highway. That's what they say, isn't it? Wow, mate. So of course, you do your 2 years. You come out, and now you just toe the line and just behave yourself. Now you don't do any activism. You don't do anything. That's it. So it's game over. So that's it, folks. Thanks for that. It's been great talking to you.
Yeah. So I had to sort of take a break for a bit because I was on probation for 2 years after I got out of prison. What they'll do is they'll put you on probation with all these conditions, and you definitely don't want to get rearrested and sent back while you're on probation. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
take about 2 years break, and then recently I got involved again in activism. There's a group in the U.S. called the Coalition to Abolish the Fur Trade, and they've been running a lot of amazing, successful campaigns around the U.S., pressuring designers and retailers to stop using fur. And in the past year, we've gotten Saks Fifth Avenue, Neiman Marcus, Allison Olivier, Monique Lullier, Oscar de la Renta, Saint Laurent. All these companies have gone fur free because activists are showing up their stores, disrupting their stores, just protesting nonstop at these places. And
What's it called again, Joseph? Coalition.
Coalition to Abolish the Fur Trade, CAFT USA.
Spell it out for me. CAFT.
CAFT. I think it's CAFT USA on Instagram.
CAFT USA. Oh, I've got a caftusa.org as well here.
Oh yeah, that's the website. Yeah.
Ah, right. Okay, so let's just throw this up now. Yes, there it is. So, guys, if you want to take a look at this, it's the CAFT, CAFT, USA.org, and take a look at this webpage. Have a look, see how you can help, how you can share stuff, and get people talking about this, because I mean, all animal abuse is terrible, but for fashion, it's really sort of the worst of the worst, because I mean, people, you can get away with saying, oh well, I need food to live. All right, we know the arguments, but for just to look good, it's like no, that's the lowest of the low.
The fur industry is so vulnerable for so many reasons. I mean, they lack public support. They're in an economic downturn right now. Because of COVID-19, also, they've had to cull mink on all these fur farms. Denmark had closed all their fur farms. The country of Ireland just initiated a fur ban. Norway is about to close all their fur farms. So, I mean, the fur industry is really on its last legs. They're really struggling. So, if we can unite as an activist movement and go after the fur industry, we can finish them off and then move on to the next industry. But right now, we're really winning the fur battle. I mean, huge designers and retailers, Neiman Marcus, Saint Laurent, Saks Fifth Avenue, they've all gone fur free after this activist pressure. So if we keep it up, there'll be no more fur industry in our lifetimes, potentially.
Well, that's it, mate. I've put this on Roger Yates. I don't know whether you know who Roger Yates is.
Okay, yeah, aware of some of his work, yeah.
He is an ALF guy. He went to prison as well for his actions in the past.
That's great.
With Ronnie. So, hi, Roger. So is it Southern Ireland that have done the fur ban, or is it the whole of Ireland? I mean, it must be the Southern Ireland, I think, because Northern Ireland is part of the UK still. Let's have a look. Even Canada Goose is going fur free. Well, at least not new fur.
Right.
Yeah.
Canada Goose.
So they're recycling.
One that I forgot to mention.
Yeah. What do they mean by that, Joseph? Well, at least not new fur. What are they using? Existing or recycling? What's that all about?
I believe that Canada Goose is going completely fur free in 2022 or 2023, but maybe in the time period they're going to use recycled fur, but eventually it will be all fur free.
Yeah, it's the Republic. So yeah, I thought it might be. because even though it's like all one island, the southern half of there's a border across Ireland, and Northern Ireland is part of the UK, and Southern Ireland is a completely different sort of country than the rest of us. So yeah, I thought it might be them. Yeah, good riddance. Where was it? Right, okay, so this might be a good opportunity to share the screen again. So at the moment you're trying to do something regarding animal rights, and you have got this Patreon account. So if you just want to explain why you need people to do this and what they can get from it and how it will help you, Joseph, and see if we can get some of you guys to go and select a membership here.
Cool. Yeah, the Patreon page is something I started to sort of just kind of share some of my favorite actions throughout animal rights history. Mostly focused on direct action because I feel like that's a part of history that's just kind of forgotten. So a lot of, life-saving animal liberation front raids and actions like that. I try to share some of my favorite actions or my most creative actions, some of the actions I find most creative. I'm still continuing my work. So, anything I get on Patreon, I use towards activism. We've got a couple campaigns going right now against Dolce & Gabbana and Montclair for selling fur. We're trying to, again, finish off that fur industry. I mean, it's something that is really crucial right now. We did about 18 actions against Neiman Marcus here in Texas. They're headquartered in Dallas, and we would go into the store and disrupt. We would go to corporate headquarters and disrupt. They really didn't like us, and they abandoned their use of fur. I mean, these are actions that are successful, and this is a campaign model that's super important. So yeah, I'm trying to continue that work.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing about it as well. I have put that link for Joseph's Patreon in the chat, people. So if you can sort of, I mean, it doesn't ask a lot. There is 3 levels of membership. There's a £2.50 now. Come on, what's that? That's a couple of litres of vegan milk there. That's a bit of oat milk. Couple of litres of oat milk. £2.50 per month. I'm going to sign up to this one. In fact, I might sign up to the £7 one because I'm such a rich trucker now. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, come on, people. I mean, this is what people don't understand, Joseph. Is that it's all right you going down doing these actions, but you've got things like you spend a lot of money on fuel to get from A to B. There's travelling expenses, there's food expensive. Sometimes you've got to buy equipment. There's a lot of time involved. There's maybe time off work. You've got to sort of, and everybody needs a little bit of help on this when they're at the forefront, especially doing stuff like what you're doing. So,
exactly. I mean, if you're trying to do activism, we got to put in as much work as the animal abusers do. These people run companies. They have board meetings. They're committed to their mission. So, we have to be just as committed as these corporations at ending their practices. And it takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of money. So
definitely. Leon says D&G is one of the biggest ones. I hope you can yeet them out of an existence. That means get rid of the fuckers. Roger, the Animal Rights Show is about Barry Horn tomorrow, including Mel talking about the attempt to rescue Rocky the Dolphin. Also remembering Lake of the Dog. So yeah, people, if you're at a spur end tomorrow, jump over to Roger Yates' channel, The Animal Rights Show, and have a look at what Barry Horn was all about. I'm sure it's a name familiar to you, Joseph.
Oh yeah, I Barry Horn was nothing less than a hero. I definitely inspired by his actions, and I love the story of Rocky the Dolphin. That's such a cool story. I'll definitely check that out because that's an amazing story. I've heard Mel Broughton talk about it, and that's a beautiful story.
You'll have to get a Patreon, Roger. You'll have to subscribe to Joel's Patreon, and then he'll come and watch your show. He might even come on it. He might even come on your show, Roger, and have a little chat with you. That'd be amazing. That would be amazing. Let me know, Roger, in Instagram. I've got Joseph on WhatsApp, so I can link you up with Joseph if you want to drag him over there and put him on and have a chat. So Any questions, people? Because we're going to wrap it up in the next 10 minutes. Because I'm going to be stepping on the toes of Vegan Mooncat, who's going to be live streaming in 10 minutes. Not that I want to end it quickly, because it's been amazing talking to you, Joseph. So, one final question from me. So, are you trying to... I mean, obviously, you're not going to say, yeah, I'm doing a load of stuff undercover and behind the scenes now. But is what you're doing now, are you trying to keep on the right side of the law at the moment? And what's the future hold for you?
Yeah, I mean, definitely not trying to go back to prison. I'm definitely doing all my work publicly and above ground now. And I think the activist community has been effective with public protests. I mean, all these campaigns, Neiman Marcus, Saks Fifth Avenue, St. Laurent, all the campaigns that I named, they've all won through above ground public protest, and it didn't require underground action like it probably used to. So yeah, all my work is public and above ground, and I think that's the way to be effective right now.
I mean, the thing is though, we do need to. There is room for more people to sort of bend the law and get that footage, because one of the things that I'm really keen on is for people to at least go and do something once in their life to expose everything that's going on, because what the non-vegans seem to come back with 99% of the time is that footage is old, that footage is no longer relevant, that footage is not in my country. And until we can keep the footage coming and the evidence coming relevant, contemporary, now, your country, we're not going to win. So I would sort of encourage people to please, if you can, get out there and just do as much as you can. I mean, there's always ways, there's always loopholes. Check the law out, read the laws, understand the laws that you're going to be breaking, speak to people, find out what to say to the police so you don't drop yourself in even bigger shit when you get arrested, if you get arrested. Learn to run fast. There's a lot of things you can do. So, hang on, I've got a question here. So, hi Joseph, is there much activism against the massive cattle pens in the States?
I mean, there's a lot of activism going on against the meat industry. I've seen a lot of undercover footage coming out. I think that's something that'll be, maybe next after the fur industry. Maybe we'll focus on other industries that are maybe less vulnerable. Right now, the fur industry is probably the most where I think activists can really leverage their strengths.
Definitely. Vegan Poet says, how do you decompress? Make of that what you will. I'm not sure what that means. Does it mean relax, Vegan Poet?
Oh yeah, it's important to take care of yourself. I mean, I like to exercise, eat well, get good nutrition. Those are all things that are vital so that you can keep going.
Definitely, because it is hard. It's very hard. I mean, we had the Hare Krishnas. It's a Diwali festival at the moment for the Hindus, and the Hindus are sort of, they're getting there. I think a lot of them are vegetarian, but they're not quite there with the milk and the dairy, and
Right.
But they came and we had them sing and dance and chant outside the gates of the slaughterhouse where they gas 3,000 pigs a day, and it was a really cool thing to see this chanting and this peaceful energy coming at a place that's so brutal and horrible. So, and that draws people in as well. That draws people in who are not vegan and wonder what's all this racket going on here. And yeah, there's a lot of things we can all do, and I suppose you do need to look after yourself, but doing things a little bit positive help as well. So, i.e.,
Definitely.
doing Diwali outside the gates. Any more questions, people? So, just a couple of more from me before we go. I mean, I know you've been sat in your car and you've probably lost about 4 stone in sweat now. But are you married now? Have you got kids of your own? Are you what's your situation? And you can tell me to sod off. It's none of your business if you wish.
No kids, no marriage for me.
Is that not even on the cards then? Is that like a gate to what you're doing?
Yeah, I feel like that will kind of neutralize me in some ways. So
Somebody asked, were you arrested recently at a fair protest?
I was arrested at a Saint Laurent store a few months ago. They've since gone fur free. They went fur free a couple weeks after our protest because people were just storming into their stores and protesting. So they're now fur free. I'm still facing charges. I'm facing just, it's a misdemeanor. It's not a serious charge. It's a trespass charge, and hopefully it'll get dismissed. If not, then I'll just do a couple days in jail probably. So it'll be fine.
Yes, you're just so relaxed about it all.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just like
after you've done 2 years in prison, 2-3 days doesn't sound so scary.
Yeah. It's a bit of a holiday just to relax. Right. Well, listen, mate. We will sort of we'll end it there.
Cool.
I'm just so happy that you came and onto the channel and had a chat with me because it's been so interesting. And obviously, I hope you get some Patreon memberships. I will do it myself once we end this thing and this stream. But thank you so much for what you're doing. You're an inspiration to many people. I think everybody's going to love your story. If you're watching this on a replay, people, look in the live comments, and I will put it down below. Joseph's Patreon site.
Right, thank you, Dan. Thanks
That's
so
a
much
big
for
engine,
having me.
Wabas. No problem. It's been a pleasure, mate. So yeah, save the animals, save the planet, save yourself, people. Go vegan, and thanks for coming along and joining us. Later.